Okay. Hello, all you joining us on the live stream. Sorry about the mix-up. We had a time change here in Europe, but not in America. So if you're just joining us now, welcome.
All right, 20 seconds. We'll get started. Have a great show.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Infinite Human Talk Show with Elizabeth Monroy. Over the next hour, you'll learn how you can become part of the new consciousness renaissance by evolving yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, and socially to embrace your true divine infinite nature and become an infinite human and co-creator of the new infinite earth. Now, here is your host, Elizabeth Monroy.
Hello, my divine infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And welcome, welcome, welcome. I am really excited about our guest this week. I always say that, but this time I really am because it's just, I mean, I always am, but this is a very intuitive kind of choice that I had. And it's Mary Costello. And I was just telling you, she just kept coming in front of me. And I knew I had to have her on. And I knew we had a very important message to give you this show, and we're going to be talking about the restoration of the Divine Mother. We talked about the destruction of the Divine Mother back in March with Jane Evershed. Now we're going to be talking about the restoration of the Divine Mother and also the organic timelines that are coming back online and that are coming back available to us to get onto. So, Mary, welcome. And do you mind just telling people about you? Because, it's so
Sure.
fascinating, but I like
Yeah.
the way you say it first.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for having me. And I'm sorry I kept jumping in front of you. Intuitively, just kept jumping in front of you. It's just what happens, isn't it? It's so beautiful because it makes me feel like everything is so much easier. There's this kind of level of grace where we're just being brought to vibrational resonance with each other. So there's never the struggle of how can we find each other. It just doesn't seem to be there anymore. It just seems to be happening. My name is Mary Costello. I live in Ireland, and I have been working with, at this present moment, I could say that my focus is to bring the human consciousness into the command of love, and what that means, and comprehensively what that could look like, because love has an order, and it has a structure, and it has systems, it has an intelligence. I've been working with to restore the channel working within the channel of the Eternal Mother, and that has become more comprehensive as time has gone on. And with each conversation, so even this conversation now will add more comprehension to that. And what I am finding and what I am committed to now is that the presence of the Eternal Mother back on the earth, or back, should I say, back into humanity's consciousness, is the sound core, the core sound, and therefore the magnetic containment of the field, of the continuum, of everything within creation. So I have been working with that sound, and by extension the magnetics, and I have been channeling that through, I would say, my womb, and through the songline of my lineage of grandmother, mother, daughter, etc., all the way to the first mother, with the knowing now, because I've worked with so many women, to bring us back to the song of the Eternal Mother, so we can hold everybody in that eternal song of love.
Oh, thank you. That's so beautiful. And
Thank you.
when you mentioned that, I've been really meditating on that. When I get guests, I kind of
Mm,
like talk to them, and kind of, I guess, connect to the energy. And it's just, amazing. It's overpowering. It's very overwhelming, but it's very necessary right now. I think it's the
mm,
key to what we need right now. And before we get into that, I want to just say something that you had mentioned to me. And I really feel like we're on the same page with this because,
mhm,
the book, The Infinite Human, it just goes all down deep and dirty how dark and how you know, inverted, perverted our whole planet Earth has become in its fall. And we've
mm,
talked about that over and over and over again. And it's all in my book. And, I understand that, it's really important to know that so you don't spiritual bypass and you don't
mhm,
just, rainbows and unicorns and everything's fine.
mm,
But I think we both realize now, for many of us now the masses are just starting to get it because the
mm,
energies are coming in so strong, and they're starting to wake up out of the coma and go, wait, maybe everything's not, perfect. It's like the Truman Show veneer is kind of coming off, and
yeah.
especially in the States. I'm American. I'm getting ready to go back there, the 15th of November. So I'm kind of part there, and we've got the elections, and now everything. I just peeked my head into it a minute, and it's getting crazy because everyone wants to, the latest conspiracy gossip, and
Mhm,
it's become gossip, and what
mm,
happens is, and I firmly believe this, and I put it in my newsletter. Okay, you have to first know what the problem is. Like if you're ill and you have a disease, you have to diagnose it properly. You have to find out
yeah.
what's wrong. Then when you find out everything's wrong, and everything's wrong, I say I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy therapist. It just is really, really wrong. Okay. It's been, when you take out one of the core elements, love, and the eternal mother,
Mm,
everything just goes down the toilet. So
yeah.
everything's wrong. But now we have to be the solution. Okay. Once you find the
Mm,
problem, if you keep talking about it, you're feeding it. So now it's time to figure out, what can we do? How do we do it different? How do we do it the correct way? And now we have the energy that's supporting us. So do you want to comment on that? Because I know you feel,
sure. Yeah. Oh, I hear you, and I feel suffering, the same way everyone else. I'm certainly not above or beyond humanity's suffering. Um, and as you say, what's the word? Spiritual, like disassociation almost. I
Mhm.
know what that looks like. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I know the cruelty of that and how that feels. When people want empathy actually, and they're met with a kind of an affront of, well, you've made this happen to yourself, or this is all for your own lesson, or you've deserved this. It's kind of a cruelty, to speak that way. So I understand people's suffering for sure. What I
And
would say,
also in the world
mm,
where they're giving medicine, they're calling medicine something that's going to hurt you, or
mhm,
they're calling education something that's just brainwashing you. I mean, you need
yeah,
to see that, of course.
yeah,
But once you see it, we need
yeah,
to not do it, not
absolutely.
participate in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I have found, because of course, with everything that is wrong, I searched and found in my capacity as I travel in my, let's say, in line with the golden mother dragons. That's how I move myself, or I am moved, excuse me, should I say, by her impulses. And when I say mother dragon, which sounds very fantastical, that just means the keeper, the eternal keeper of humanity. That is the eternal mother is the protector of humanity. And so when we talk about, how wrong everything has been, the as you say, the destruction of the divine mother has been a massive part of that. So I have been looking at false sound occupation that had drowned out the sound of mother. And and the importance of sound is the intention and the directionality for our electrical light bodies, for the full electrical light system, humanity's consciousness. So, but these things are corrected now. So what I'm finding now, And I can go into that later if you wish. But what I'm finding now is that a lot of the bite has really gone out of the false, of, the scare stories, of the threats, and these weaponized, emotional, loaded stories thrown at people to try to terrorize them. A lot of the real depth and bite has gone out of them. And what I'm seeing is that the most they can actually garner from people now is a kind of a looping, finite dead end.
Mhm.
There doesn't seem that whole beast machine, gathering up the loot, that has been dismantled to my knowledge, and
You're
we
good.
have all been part of that. Yeah. So what I'm seeing, and also when you go a step further, you realize how powerful we are. We realize how we have, in fact, and I won't project this out. I'll say this for myself. I would realize, and I would offer that others, this is the same for all of us, through the place in our wombs, perhaps, or even just in our imagination and our thoughts, in our emotional connections, how we have incubated and continue to incubate like a bad seed, a bad dream. And by our powers of projection, because that's what we are doing, we are projectors of reality. By our powers of projection, we are actually upholding the bad dream between each other and telling each other the stories over and over again, convincing, agreeing with each other, making a little tribe because of our story. And I understand people's need to talk, absolutely. And I understand the trauma that is done that makes people fracture into tribes or into groups like that. But what I would just say is that to treat your receptivity, your beautiful sacred space, in your imagination, in your womb, inside in your emotional center, in the water of your belly, in all these beautiful places, how we receive, to know how powerful that is. And we are the creators of the good dream or the bad dream. And it's time that we stop upholding the bad dream.
So
Mm.
powerful and so true.
Mm.
I, so I just want to, I hope you heard that. Was listening because that is the key. We had David Icke
Mm.
on here talking about, it's all a simulation, and you
Okay.
are the co-creator. And you just said the finite time loop. And my
Mm.
message has always been we're infinite. We're breaking away from that finite,
Yeah.
and we've been conditioned to create our own misery.
Mm.
So I want to touch on something else you said to me. I just picked it up, but I went with it and talked to you on another level, much deeper, because I just so
Yeah.
believe in this. And I think you're very much like me, because a lot of my friends, especially from the States, everyone's like, oh my God, I don't know what to believe right now. Everything's, there's
Mm.
so much out there, blah, blah, blah. And, I say, well, not only am I fasting today from food, but
Mm.
also I fast all the time. I live, you can see, if you have video, you can see behind me, and there's nothing but
Beautiful.
all orchards below me. I'm up in the mountains, there's nobody, I don't even have neighbors. And then I go into town, to do my business, to do whatever,
Mm.
got a massage, this, and then I come back and I spend so much time. But people say, you live by yourself, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I am alone like 90% of my time, but why? I'm
Mm.
never alone. People are very lonely right now, but I always say you're not alone, you're all one, because that's how I communicate. That's how I can hear. I can
Yeah.
see the multi-dimensional contacts that I have.
Mhm.
I'm sure you do that with your, what
Yeah.
you do. It's so powerful.
Mm.
And you said something to me. You said, I don't want to listen too much, because it contaminates my channel. And I just
Mhm.
thought, I never realized that, but that's what I do. I just
Mm.
flip things off. I can't. And I
Yeah.
think we need to hear that. So do you want to expand
Mm.
on how important that
Sure.
is?
Well,
And
I would love to say that as a story and explain myself some bit. When I was a child, I lived the vast majority of my childhood in a daydream. Now, I didn't. I thought it was daydream. It felt like I was actually underwater. I couldn't hear, and I would when they told the teachings of Jesus, I would tune in because I loved his stories of healing, and love and courage. You know, they would speak those stories in my school. And when we were doing art and science, I would tune in. The vast majority of time, I couldn't hear what anybody was, was saying. And I just remember this the other day because people were speaking about bells. A lot of people were speaking about bells. I would come home to my mother and I wrap my arms around her hips and I would place my ear on her womb. And my mother was always the same. Now, things were chaotic around her, so she could be agitated or irritated, but she was always the same. And I used to recalibrate. Now I know what I was doing. I was recalibrating to her
Mhm.
strength, to her order. She had an inner order and an inner intelligence.
And to the
Um,
mother,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. Yeah, directly to the mother because I went straight for her womb. I just wrapped around her hips. Like, so what I would just say is that a lot of people, and I have gotten this, that irritates people because people want access to my imagine my creational space. People want access to, they want me to agree with them. I have one person I don't spend time with now, but in the last conversation, he must have said to me maybe 5 times, "Do you understand? Do you understand me?" You know? And I didn't answer him. I just thought, God, this guy's crazy. But he was trying, trying to get me to stand under what he was saying, trying to get me to absorb what he was saying, trying to make me frightened about things going on in the world. And what I would say is that I can perceive threat in my body. I have been in situations where I thought I would die. I know what fear feels like. When people are, in this disembodied state of storytelling and they're trying to make one another frightened, that's not threat. That's stories. That's delusionary kind of trying to capture each other's attention. So yes, we have within us, in our bodies, the vibrational beginnings of the golden age. Within our bodies, it's like a map of stars. We have the coordinates of and everything begins with vibration. And this is where the mother comes in because the mother is vibration, which is sound, which is intention. And how the mother is making herself known in a way that we will know her, be of her, so we will never lose her again or lose ourselves, is these coordinates, these vibrational beginnings in the body are, fizzing or, vibrating stronger somehow. And we are perceiving. So whatever is being told to us, does it resonate with our body? Does it make us feel sick? Does it take us out of um, what we should be feeling in the body is belonging and sustenance and nourishment and we should feel held by our body. And what I say also about true sound as opposed to false sound or false narratives, true sound grounds you, it brings you back into your body, it makes you settle, and our bodies are now actually coming to life with vibrational beginnings, with vibrational intentions. So that is what will drown out the other stuff, because it was the other stuff that drowned out our body's wisdom in the first place. And if we want to talk about a battle, this is the mother of all battles, and our bodies, the mother, is winning, and those other sounds will be drowned out. They are being drowned out now. Those sounds of division, and the mother sound is all about unity.
That's beautiful. And while you were talking, I was thinking actually before this, I saw you when you were in Ireland, and Sasha
Yeah.
Stone interviewed you. And I want to bring this up because I mean, I'm talking about the masculine and the feminine, and you have a
Sure.
very feminine presence. And
Yeah.
I interviewed Sasha, and I spent Christmas with him about 2 years ago. And there's a certain kind of I've noticed a chemistry or energy that he has with a lot of women. But when he got to you, you were just so in your softness. And I always say your power's in your softness,
Yeah.
and I want to talk a little bit about how we've been hoodwinked to think being a powerful woman's putting on a power suit and going out there and being
Yeah.
like the dark masculine. But you
Yeah.
just, you talked very softly, and you said what you were intuiting. And what you did was you brought him into you. And I noticed at the very end of that video, which he had been kind of moving people along and following his agenda, he just got opened up and he started saying something he came to a realization by allowing his feminine to open,
Yeah.
that just that energy. And I've seen him interacting with a lot of different women, and I've interacted with him too. And I couldn't be part of the way, it was a different way I interacted, but I really loved what you did. And I think it was a symbol for women because, and I'll bring this up and I'm sure you will, in our hidden history, there's so much trauma, and especially Ireland. My God, there's been so much of this raiding and raping the Christian lines of women. So we've been taught not to be soft. We have to be strong. And I think what I'm hearing you say and what you're emanating is that now it's safe to come out, like come out wherever you are. You really are. You can express yourself and the divine feminine in the world and be loving and gentle and compassionate.
This is what's happening, and as we are finding each other, we are realizing, let's say, the body of mother, or the unity of the feminine, the unity of woman, our ability to feel each other vibrationally, and I believe that's through the womb. That's coming back together. So women were kind of brought into this horrible psychic battle, almost like putting spells or little divisions. We also had so many wounds of like oracles kind of being used to bolster a kingdom, and so we have had so much of like, come on, we have so much trauma on our
Because
voice.
we're so powerful, because we're powerful. They didn't want us to use that magnetic. And Dave Emery was on here and talked about we're in a magnetic universe. So they have to squelch the magnetic. And they did a great job of it, unfortunately, with all the trauma that they did.
So what they did with women, or what happened with women, I won't say they, because who's they? I'll say what happened with women is that the womb was taken out of the voice, and the womb connected to the voice. So when you heard me speaking with Sasha, I'm so grateful that Sasha, I think the same thing happened with Sasha. My face just kept popping in the way. I was so grateful for him for allowing that, because of course I noticed they're very fast moving conversations, and I'm not a fast moving person. So and I noticed that, like, I'm not, I'm not oblivious. I know it's like a rock in the middle of a river. It's kind of like, oh, hold on a second, guys.
But the river always wears the rock down, and that's magnetic.
Yeah. So I was really grateful for that space to be given that beautiful place to enjoy. I really love that. But what I will say is that in all situations, women set the tone of the room, of the conversation, of whatever, of anything that they're in. But there is a way to that, is if the voice belongs to the womb. Does the voice belong to the womb? The womb is the first place of devotion, the most sacred place of devotion to life, to innocence, and to evolution. So when we speak for our womb, we cannot speak outside of honor to evolution, innocence, life, children, humanity. We cannot speak outside of the honor of that. So I would say to women, don't sell your voice, because nobody wants you to. We have been so conditioned. There's been so much wounding, and I fully understand it. I only started talking insistently a few years ago. We sometimes choose or subconsciously a performative voice, an appeasing voice, a manipulative voice, and I'm not trying to say it's in a bad way, but maybe giving false flattery where it's not really due, to try to soften someone.
We had to do that, because
absolutely,
our power was through our sons, our husbands, our fathers. We were completely controlled, so we had to learn to be that dark lunar force that that revolved around the solar male
Mhm.
as a reflection.
Yes.
We had to manipulate, and we were very good at it.
We learned it. We all had to learn it, and
Our
it was
wives and children were dependent on it, or, the well-being of the family.
absolutely.
How could we manipulate and maneuver in this dark
Yeah.
masculine world?
Mhm.
So
And we did well to survive all of that, whatever way we had to. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Mm.
we're going to take just a short break here
Okay.
because we're coming up to break time. But when we get back, I want to talk about womb because you usually
Yeah.
don't say talk from the womb. It's like kind of like womb. Well, talk about that. That's private.
Yeah,
That's my
I'd
private.
love to.
Okay, so we'll be right back with Mary and Costello. I'm sorry, I'm Italian, and I had a
That's
friend named Costello.
okay. It
How do you
makes me
pronounce
sound, well, it's Costello, but Costello sounds cooler. It makes me
it? Well, it's
feel like
Italian.
I'm Italian, so
Costello.
that's good. Yeah, I like it.
Costello. Mary Costello. Okay, be right back.
Thank
Thank
you.
For more empowering words from Elizabeth Monroy and Dr. Peter Monroy, check out their latest book, The Infinite Human, an ascension guide for starseeds, twin souls, and awakening infinite humans, the co-creators of the new infinite 5D Earth. You'll also find many spiritual books to help both children and adults in their ascension back to home, to infinite God Source. Isn't it time to be part of the new consciousness renaissance? If this resonates with you, please subscribe to our website at infinitehuman.com and become part of our growing Infinite Human family.
Welcome back to the Infinite Human Talk Show with your host, Elizabeth Monroy. Do you have a question or comment for Elizabeth or her guests? Please text or email your questions and comments to infinitehumanproductions@gmail.com. Now, back to the show.
And welcome back. And we're having a fascinating conversation about the restoration of the divine mother and the organic timelines. And I want to get into that in more detail right now. But before we do, I just want to talk about, and we're talking with Mary Costello, Ireland. Anyway, and what I want to talk about, because I've always said, I feel my book was written from a woman's perspective, living through life. It's my life story of awakening and all the things that have happened in my twin soul relationship. And I think, and I always say it's the divine feminine that's coming back. One of my spiritual teachers, who was a male in the past, said it's the men that got us into a mess. He was a sergeant in the military, and it's the women who are going to get us out of it. And I always say it's the women who are going to give birth from the womb to the new earth.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about that and how we can, because I think it's a huge healing that we're all struggling with. How can we women get out of all this defensiveness and this pain and
Mhm.
this suffering, and when you talk about womb,
Yeah,
there's so many pains there, like childbirth
absolutely.
and menstruational cramps. And my
Mhm.
husband was a gynecologist, so I know his
Yeah.
office was busy with all kinds of
Mm.
miasmic, ancestral miasma passed
Mhm.
down in the mother wound. So
Yeah.
how can we begin to
Mm.
shift that and collapse those old timelines,
Mhm.
that time loop that we talked about, and get onto the true organic timelines of the divine mother and the golden dragon, right? The golden dragon.
Absolutely. There has been, as you would imagine, of course, to take out the mother out of the planetary brain, the governance of humanity's consciousness, to take the mother aspect out of that, and in fact replace her with a machine, false mother, with an ability to weave a false matrix. The mother is the weaver. The womb was seriously targeted. So when you speak of those, those women with physical manifestations of that targeting, absolutely. And I've spoken with a lot of women like that who come to me. They've had the physical targeting, but they've also got some precious wisdom in their womb as well. So we work to separate both. What I would say, if anyone wants just the very, very beginning point that I would say, and I would do this at any time. I command my golden, excuse me, let me say that again. I command that my womb is brought back to golden honor. I command that my womb is brought back to golden honor. There is an order. There is already an order within the womb. There is what creates the order of the womb is the sound that's within it. This is the sound of the Eternal Mother. That's what our womb is here for. It is an emanation point. It looks to me like a beautiful rose connected to the cosmic rose. It is an emanation point, and it has some powerful abilities. It has like a sonar ability. We call it intuition, but it is so much more than that. It is this is why the women and the wombs are at the forefront of evolution. We have the ability to send out the sound, the eternal sound of the womb, which is love, read the field in response, and make our next steps from the perception of that sound, of what we have received from the field. So getting the womb to a place without any anxiety, without fear, is imperative. And I will tell you, if you have anxiety and fear in your womb, it is not yours. It is something in your life, or some form of interference, and it may be a person that needs to leave your life. The womb is a place of the highest honor. It has been entrusted naturally to be the front line of evolution, because it is if there is to be a church, it is the womb. If there is to be a place of devotion, it is the womb, because the womb actively in a way that can be felt and seen by result, devotes everything needed by this infant to come to life. It is the only place I can see in humanity that is a devotion worth upholding. Places of worship, places of worship. Is there much difference? This is the place of devotion, the primary place of devotion. So the imperative, the importance of bringing the womb to peace and safety, first of all, and honor, is everything. And then power comes when there is, it's more like function. So when the dysfunction is removed, when the anxiety, when the sickness, when the confusion is removed from the womb, the function of the womb becomes clear, and it has a light function. So if we we have been told a picture of almost like an androgynous God figure. The womb has been taken out of the concept of God, or the concept of creator. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Of course.
Father, son, hungry ghost.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
spiritual about women. They're we say here
Exactly.
in Italy, puttana Eva, which means prostitute Eve. That's how they think of
Okay.
women, the
Yeah.
cause of all sin. So yeah, we have that in our history.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, every part of humanity, especially something as, if there were no wombs, there would be no humanity. So it's kind of a no-brainer. It has a light function. The womb has a light function. What I am seeing now is, because I posed the question recently, is like, how will women feel each other vibrationally? How will we return to this one unified knowing of mother, of woman, of what? And when I talk about divine feminine, I'm not talking about an individualized, beautiful, well-dressed, self-contained unit of a woman. That's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. But what I want to see is the divine feminine like a blanket, like a weaving of protection and honor and love that guards every single child on the earth at all times. That's what I want the divine feminine to do.
Beautiful.
And what I came to is that actually it's the womb, like me hugging my mother, and this vision of this bell, this feeling that there was a bell in the womb, and that everyone's womb would ring to the sound of the same bell. And we have had war in our womb. So if history is written on the battlefields, her story is what is the remnants of war absorbed into the body, absorbed into the womb. So as we release that pollution, because we cannot absorb a lie. Our wombs are not able to absorb a lie. We must expel it. We must expel the degradation of the womb, the dishonor, the misunderstanding of the womb, and reclaim its full function and its purity. And purity is not in the term of, this nonsensical sin idea, or having to be, you know, any kind of a woman in terms in relation to what someone else says you should be. I don't mean it like that. Purity as in the pure function, the pure intelligence, the light intelligence, the beauty and the honor. And it is, as you say, it is the place of birthing. Nothing will come from the formless to the form, but through the womb. We have within us the birth canal, the birth channel, obviously within the body, but we believe, right, that every baby is born with a soul. So women have the inherent knowing, the inherent consciousness, somehow, whether unknown or not to them, to bring a soul into form. We also, by extension of that, have the inherent understanding of how to birth the golden age, and that's what we're doing now.
Wow. So amazing, amazing. And I do believe that we are giving birth to that.
Mm,
I want to back up just a minute because, just, I'm a very
sure.
honest person. I'm just, and for me, not necessarily in this life, but I see past lives. They're all happening at once since there's no time.
Mm,
And I just think we can't remember them because the trauma of MK Ultra mind control trauma. We've
yeah.
basically been traumatized. So we've compartmentalized those aspects of them ourselves. And
Mm,
for me, they're back, many of them, most
mhm,
of them, and I live in ancient places, so it comes up for me all the time. And I have vivid memories of being all the time part of you know, I'm part of the Magic Grail line. I always have held high
mm,
genetics. So those women, and
mhm,
Ireland's filled with them, have been coveted by the fallen angelics. We'll just say,
mm,
for our genetics. And
mhm.
so I've always been like in part of forced breeding programs.
Yeah.
Whether it's been off planet on Nibiru, or
Mhm,
just having my living a nice Celtic existence and having your village raided and your twin
yeah.
soul murdered and your children murdered and you forced to breed, so
Mm,
there's all that violence. And when you talk about that, I
mm,
feel nervousness, I feel the anxiety
yeah.
in my womb. So I'm not one to
Mm,
like focus a lot on my womb because it is, but
mm,
I really liked what you said about the having the golden
mm,
restoration of it.
yeah.
But what else can I mean, I know you do work with this, but
Yeah.
for our listeners, just to start on that, like
Mhm,
what's the takeaway that, how can we begin to heal that? Because I think, I don't
mhm.
think I'm the only one out there. I think there's a lot of women who
Yeah,
have a lot of issues
absolutely.
in the womb.
Okay, well, the reason the womb voice is so silenced is because it is the place of command. It is the place that commands what is needed for the evolution. So if we decide now, which we do by what we're speaking, of course, our wombs in their pure function, in their golden age function, are required to to bring about the birth of the golden age. So we can make that a command. We command that. I command that my womb is brought back to its full light function within the golden age. You speak it and you claim it. And because everything else, everything that was done to us is a lie. It's
Yeah,
outside of us. It's not from
false
source. It
timeline. So
has no power. Yeah. So
yes.
we just claim our function and the dysfunction falls away. We claim our activation and the stagnation falls away. We claim the life and the movement and the eternal movement of who we are, and the imposed finite nonsense falls away. We just have to command, you know?
I see.
Yeah.
So, just to bring it back to a lot of grounded, I always try to ground stuff in reality. And
Yeah.
what I see happening a lot, because I'm always, kind of focusing on the women right now, that's
Mm,
just me. And of course, we're both masculine, feminine, we know that. And we're both, we can't be electrical without magnetic, magnetic without
Mhm.
electrical. So enough said about that. But, physical women,
Yeah.
I think right now what we're having is, we've always been, and I'm talking about rewriting your life story to its heroic version, which is the
Yeah.
you that follows the highest timelines, the organic timelines,
Mm.
and commands forth the
Yeah.
new earth. So, but and I do it too, so it's not a blame thing, but, we're taught to wait for that hero. The
Yes.
man's gonna do it, the man's
Yeah.
gonna make everything work out. And then I talked to the men. In fact, I even talked to the first thing I said out of my
Mm.
mouth when I met Sasha was, it's the women who are going to, co-create the new
Mm.
earth. We're gonna give birth to it. And he,
Yeah.
they agree, and men are
Yeah.
saying yes, but yet they're still working from their masculine side, trying to,
Mhm.
like you said, hurry things along, make things happen,
Yeah.
check off the list, it's all very left
Yeah.
brained.
Mhm.
So it's an energetic thing that's going to happen.
Mm.
It's
Yes.
going to happen inside of us. We are, everyone's like, when's the divine mother returning? Well,
Mm.
it happens first internally, right? It's
Yeah.
inside of us, internal creation.
Absolutely.
So,
It's
okay.
that's and I see that too. I see that. I see that. What I will say is that, creation is a dance, and it's a dance of love. And with the feminine is leading the dance now. We are undoing the convoluted dance. We are returning to the original dance, like the magnetic and electric, the flow of creation. We know the magnetic, the vibration is feminine. So that is the beginning point of the dance. And the response is the electric, which is the masculine. So the women have to lead in authentic expression, and that doesn't even have to involve authentic expression outside of their doorstep. That can be personal and whatever feels comfortable. But let's get to the body of things. Let's get down to the bones and the blood of what we are made of. We are made from love. We are made in love, and the greatest dishonor to the eternal mother who made us from love is to be raised in love and to live in hate or to live in war. We are raised in love so that we can bear fruit and flower and live in joy and in dance. So I would say, do not, don't worry about the interplay between the masculine and the feminine, because magnetism is magnetic. There will be no choice, right? So,
Yeah, magnetic
this,
field,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it
So
leads.
there was a false magnetic. The false mother system contained a false magnetic that was, from what I understand, from the black heart of Saturn and the moon, there was a false magnetic placed upon us, which massively impacted everyone, but took the electrical, and I call it electrical devotion, took the electrical devotion away from the eternal mother. As the magnetism of the eternal mother is amping up, the electrical devotion will have no choice but to follow. So I would just say, express yourself in, come to the place of no fear and express yourself in your full beauty, in your full power, your full presence, authenticity. Not do not worry about who hears what you say. You're speaking for freedom. You're speaking for freedom and dancing for freedom. So it will correct. This is why I'm so focused on women or on magnetism and vibration so much, and the
Yes,
body, because
yeah.
it will have to correct. The strongest magnetic will receive the electrical devotion. So,
Well, I think all we can really do is be a role model and
yeah,
share this vibration information. And you
yeah,
you are a very good role model to me because this I've had a very strong mother wound, and I've had
mm,
I learned how to be magnetic when I met my twin soul, because I was kind of like American woman, young. I'm gonna, I'm not, no, nothing's holding me back. I'm out there.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
then I met Peter, and so it was very tough, but he put me in that magnetic where I had to definitely.
beautiful.
He was a doctor, but I was the healer of him. I mean,
Mm,
he was the doctor of women, but behind him, him was me.
lovely.
And then when he was gone, I've been balancing between learning to deal in the masculine masculine world. But
Yeah.
I'm going to say something I think a lot of women feel. You know, I'm extremely like creative and
Mm.
sensitive, you know, very sensitive. And
Yeah.
when I get out in the world, you know, I get nervous and flustered, you know, because it's like,
Mhm.
hurry, you know, like I'm getting ready to fly. Oh my God, you know, fly like,
Yeah.
you know, where's all your documents? I take Kiki, my service dog, with me, and
Mhm.
she has more documents. So, you know what I'm saying? It's that, and
Yep.
also like a blonde, dumb blonde, we have that a lot. So I get flustered, you know. I think women sometimes,
Absolutely.
you know, and there's this
Mhm.
idea that men like, oh, she's dingy, a dingy
Mhm.
broad. What is it? You know, a
Yeah.
spacey, dizzy. You know,
Mhm.
when we're not dizzy, we're multidimensional, and we're
Yep.
assessing the situation, and we're bringing it
Mhm.
all together. So I think the shift, what you're
Mhm.
saying, I mean, how do we make that shift? Because I know you do it. Like I saw you do it
Yeah.
with Sasha when he's trying to rush you along, or whatever
Mhm.
in the masculine world out there. They, you know,
Mhm.
next, you know, and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So just being soft,
Mhm.
being loving. I think people are like surprised
Yes.
when you're like loving, because
Yeah.
usually I get defensive and I'm like blast him out of the water and like blah blah blah. But you know,
Yeah.
some
Well,
advice here.
that happens too with me. Absolutely. One of my friends, we joke and call me a torpedo sometimes. I just deliver these messages that are so I but that and that I don't judge that. That's fine. But I will say, you know, I haven't been invited back to Sasha's show. I'm not saying that to say a bad thing. I'm just saying the way I speak, the way I'm encouraging us to speak has yet to be fully recognized for the intelligence and the wisdom that it is. It's taking time. So I would say that what I am focusing on now is giving a vibrational invitation. That's all. Because all that can happen, it's almost like we are underpinning everything else. And as everything else, as all the finite conversations, all the war stories are finished being swapped, as all the you know the formed solutions are put on the table and raked through, then it becomes known. At the end of that, it becomes known the value of a woman's voice, the value of a woman who can access the formless, of a sensitive woman, of a woman who speaks her truth and who speaks in a way that moves people. This is the whole point of our voice, is to move reality. So when you have a voice that moves reality, it might not be comfortable. It brings joy in the moment, but you might just be kind of kept outside the little sphere for a while, and that's okay. It's all okay. And so what I do is I speak mostly with women, and I create events with women, and we do beautiful things where we're basically opening up a birthing channel between us with our
Yeah,
loving intention,
please tell me what you. We're almost out of time,
yeah.
so tell us how we can get in contact with you and what you do.
Yeah,
And
I'm
we're
on
gonna do
Facebook, Mary
second
Costello.
episodes of this. Okay, so
Mary
don't go away.
Costello on Facebook is the best thing, right, to find me. My next offering is, so when you're speaking about the fear and trepidation, 100%, I know you. I know exactly what you're saying. I'm a normal woman too, and I'm creating this workshop so I see what's missing. I cannot make anyone do anything, right? So I cannot reach outside myself. Anytime I reach outside myself for a solution, I am breaking the strength of my magnetic shield, and I cannot afford to do that because that allows things access to me. So what I'm doing instead, I'm calling women together, or men, whoever wants to come, and the workshop is called Visions of the Golden Age, Upholding the Rose. And what I'm calling for is a dive through the Christed heart, the crystal heart. I know that the architecture of the upholding of the golden age, of the upholding of the rose of the womb of mother's wisdom, is already present within the heart. And this needs to be opened. This is why when we speak, we're moving people's hearts, we're opening, we're moving them to tears, and why it's rejected. And that's okay too. I honor people's deflection, I honor people's distrust of me, and I move a different direction. And everyone is recalibrating. I have the confidence of the big dog on the block, Elizabeth. That's what this is. It's like, okay, that's fine. I won't push. I'll keep going. it will come. I'm working with water. I'm in a channel of the Eternal Mother. I'm not going anywhere. It only gets worse.
Well, that's why I love you so much, and I wanted to reach out to you because you emanate exactly what I believe. I've always been working with women because we are the ones that are going to give birth to the new earth, and
Yeah.
that's the saying, the meek. It's really the gentle-hearted. Will inherit the earth. So my attitude is when I talk to women and they're like, but he won't, and he won't, but they don't,
Yep.
or I'm not, our let's say, even with the what's going on in the awakening community now. Okay, a lot of the men started a lot of the stuff, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They're the starters, and they're
Mhm.
taking it out in 3D now, which is fine. And it's on the Fibonacci spiral, and it will disintegrate. It's on the old timeline. But
Mhm.
the women, we're always, and I think we're moving okay. I used to say, "Come
Yeah.
on, women!" But I don't believe that. We are doing it eternally, eternally,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
internally. And we're just moving ourselves because we're healers. So we're first cleaning
Mhm.
house, healing ourselves,
Yep.
getting our womb up to speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're going to be there, not taking
Mhm.
over, but we're magnetic. It's just that we're
Mhm.
the solution. And people are
Yeah.
going to need, when everything crumbles apart, we'll just have
Yeah.
been here always, home and hearth, having the
Yeah.
place prepared. And yeah,
Mhm.
it's always been here. Now you're ready for it.
Yes.
Like mom,
Absolutely. And today I had to tell myself, Mary, the men might turn around and say it was their idea. And you may have to be okay with that too. And then I thought, well, I suppose once it's done, it doesn't matter how it's done. And that is where the patience of the mother comes in. Once it's done, it doesn't matter how it's done.
no ego. You don't have any ego. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up this one, but stay
Okay,
tuned because we're
super.
gonna have another episode. So thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you.
Mary, could you please give us your website just for those listening?
Sure. I am heartofgold.earth, and my Facebook, Mary Costello, is my most up to date, but I'm heartofgold.earth as well on my website.
Okay, and you spell Costello, Costello, Costello.
Yes, and I have a beautiful YouTube channel now called The Womb Room,
Oh,
Voices of Eternal Beginning. So people come in and they open, and we find the wisdom inside, and we just offer it this beautiful womb, this soil, this space of receptivity. So
okay, great. Okay, so that's how you can get in touch with her and tune in because she will be returning on another episode if you're listening to us on the podcast. Okay, and thank you for tuning in very much. Love you guys so much. Ciao for now.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Infinite Human Talk Show with your host, Elizabeth Monroy. We hope today's episode has inspired you to join the new consciousness renaissance and be the change by reclaiming your true divine infinite nature within and becoming an infinite human and a co-creator of the new infinite earth. Tune in next week for another empowering episode. Until then, have an infinite week.
All right, good job. We are clear.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Thanks. All right, bye-bye.
Okay, and we're going to take like a 2-minute break. Okay, you want to take a little potty break, and then we'll come right
perfect.
back with the next
Okay.
part. So, all right, be right back. Okay, I was in the dark there. Okay, so I'm just going to do another intro here.
Okay.
We're back. And hello, my divine, infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And we're back. This is the second part of our fascinating interview with Mary Costello. Yes,
Whatever way you want to say it, I don't mind.
from
You can
Ireland.
turn me into an Italian. I love it.
Jewish when his name was Costello, and it's a pretty big name here. And so, yeah, when I heard you, okay, so Mary, for those who are just tuning into this episode, can you
Mhm.
just tell us a little bit about yourself again? And last week we just covered some fascinating ideas about how the women are giving birth to the new earth, to the golden age from their womb, and as they do that, they are just disintegrating all the miasmas, all the ancestral miasmas, all the trauma, all the false timelines, and that's what we're going to focus on more, I think, this time. But
Yeah,
just so we know who we're talking to. Tell us a
super.
little bit about you.
Okay, my name is Mary Costello. I'm in Ireland. I have been working within the channel of the Eternal Mother for a few years, consciously knowing what I was doing. It actually began when my mother passed away. It kind of opened up my channel. And I have been working and it has become more comprehensive as time has gone on. I'm working to restore the Eternal Mother as the core tone and therefore the magnetic containment of our continuum, of our creational space. Um, and also, actually, what has come through as well is that the magnetic force of the Eternal Mother is the magnetic center of the central sun, and within us, also within our own mechanics of creation, the powering center of our creational body. And then I am just working to bring humanity's consciousness back to the order of love. And the love has an order. It has everything within it for all of its systems and structures of upholding. So that is where I am now.
Well, wonderful to have you. I just feel
Thank
such a
you.
kindred spirit. And so I want to talk this time about, because I like to try, bring stuff up to the higher level and then down to our
Hmm.
daily life, because we have to weave that as alchemists. And I know for me personally, I'm just going to talk that, I was had a difficult relationship with my mother. She was very traumatized. And then I kind of became, and they didn't have a very good relationship. So I became like, daddy's girl, and that gave me just a very strong feeling of confidence. And I think my mother, I had a lot of, like, I was like you, I spent all the time in my room with my stuffed animals, and they were like my spirit guides, and so, and I think my mother just kind of squelched that, because I think she was fearful
Hmm.
and I think a lot of mothers are fearful. They clip the wings of the daughters because they're fearful for us to be all that we can be, because we really couldn't. I'm going to say past tense, couldn't before in the type of
Hmm.
world we lived in. So, I grew up, I didn't even realize I did it, but I remember I heard one of my spiritual teachers say, daughters are always actresses. And, I was always trying to please everybody, and especially like my daddy and men and stuff, because that was where the power was. We talked a little bit about this.
Hmm.
So we've always learned how to, to look the way we think men want us to look. And when I had my film school in Florence, Italy, we did a film called Evolution. And, it was about all these paintings in the Uffizi of women. And they're like, do you like me now? Do you like me now? Like, I'm sexy, I'm demure, I'm a childbearer, and we've always been trying to look to the power, because the power has been in the
Hmm.
men's court. And now what you're saying, and I agree, it's moving into our court as magnetic. But
Yeah,
a lot of us, we're not even aware of how powerful we are.
I know. And the way you described us with our many faces of the appeasing, changeable face of the feminine, we upheld so much, and we uphold so much finite um, finite bad dreams that way. And you know, and then we get rewarded. We get the crumbs of the bad dream, and that's not to insult anybody, because they feel important. That's safety. That's physical safety. And if you've known a life of threat, physical safety means a lot. And for many of us women, we have had to be in situations where our wings were clipped, of course, to feel safe. And the other crumbs are whatever, a pat on the head, as simple as that, or um, you know, the prized possession, somebody's prized possession. So all of that, understandable, but
Maybe until you get
mm,
too old, and then you're traded in for the new model. I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
so
So it's finite. It's all finite value. Yeah, it's
yes.
finite value.
Yes. I mean, I
Yeah,
see it as playing itself out, but I
yeah.
think even the men, the wounded men, the wounded males getting
Hmm.
tired of it, it's just not working for anybody, because it's a
Yeah.
broken mind control program to divide
Hmm.
us from our power. And,
Hmm.
I just think I feel it's happening. Women are waking up to that
Yeah.
connection, that power
Yes.
that they
Yeah.
embody. So,
Hmm.
how can more and more women, I mean, I know you talked about
Hmm.
what you offer, but what
Yeah.
do you think I think part of it we talked about
Hmm.
is fasting from the external world, because the external
Yeah.
world is broken. It's based on the dark masculine,
Hmm.
it's all about that. And
Yeah.
it's like that cocooning, that coming inward and just
Mm.
healing and knowing and having that faith
Yeah.
in yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, I feel like, Elizabeth, where we are now, the reason there's a change, or the reason for me that, what I want the intention of change to be. So I understand. I understand why we would do, the changeable face of the feminine. I fully understand that. Um, no one likes to be ostracized and alienated and to be seen as a woman without value. But we are in a time of transition where we are completely changing the value system on this earth. So for a time, we may look like we are women without value until until everything else collapses, and then it is understood what we have been weaving and what we have been starving. So we are starving the systems of our enslavement. And if people continue in that way, that is their choice. If they continue to partake in their enslavement, and it's not a judgment, and we are all undoing it from our systems constantly. We are organic organisms. We are biological organisms, excuse me. Biological organisms have to survive, have to submit to the network they are within, otherwise, they will die. So we have had to submit and connect to and be known symbiotically to the false matrix in order to survive. So we are part of it, and it is part of us, and we are unweaving it now and releasing ourselves from it. I think,
but
like,
I
yeah,
suppose kudos to us, because we have
yeah,
survived. I mean,
mm-hmm,
the darkest of the darkest that has happened
yeah,
to the female and children, on this planet, and our
mm-hmm,
children, they were our children,
yeah,
as mother and children,
mm,
and we've
yep,
done everything we could just to preserve, ourselves and our
yes,
children mostly, and we're still
yes,
here. I mean, it's
mm-hmm. And that's
good.
why we're here, because we were able to preserve. So
Mhm.
the clipping of the wings that we speak of, um, we may look back on that and say, "Oh, that was such a shame, and that was a limitation that was done to me," but it also ensured our survival. And in times of abject war and the horrendous way this world has been run, to be somebody's possession actually gave you safety. You
Yes.
were valuable, yeah, to something. So I
Which meant
understand that now. Yeah.
you had to adjust and conform to what
Mhm.
they wanted you to
Yeah.
look like. There
Mhm.
in this film we made, there was a Valentina who says, "I make women beautiful." I mean,
Yeah.
beautiful, the very word means be you to the full. But we could not do
Yes.
that. We had to
No.
be whatever they deemed,
Mm.
whatever measurements or whatever hair
Yeah.
color or whatever hairstyle, clothes, and they
Mm.
were the ones
Yeah.
that were just, we were their Pygmalion, and
Yes.
it's been
And
so
it suits nobody to be that way. What I would say now is my brother always says this, like people are looking for what is real. They want to feel things. They want to feel the way life is for real. And when people are in serious trouble, and we still have wars on this planet, and we have poverty and torture. When people are in these situations, they are not calling for the performative feminine. They're not calling for the feminine who looks pretty, at the right time and says the right. They're calling for the mother, the arms of the mother, to pluck them from their despair and to rescue them. This is the function of woman on this earth. The role of responsibility, what we have neglected, in order to be somebody's trinket, in order to be somebody's princess, what we have actually neglected. And that is not a judgment, because I understand what was done to us, but that is just a call to arms. That is a call to arms, to realize that the enslavement of humanity was only done by the destruction of the mother. And with the resurrection of the mother, that guarantees the freedom of humanity.
It's so funny
Mm.
because I just made a workbook, by the way,
Yeah.
called the Infinite Human Workbook that goes along with the book. And it's just about 106 pages of questions. And I
Mm.
always do everything for myself. So there are questions I was asking myself, and it's all about rewriting your life story to your
Mm.
heroic self.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things, I know this might sound silly to you or people listening, but I swear to God, I just finally hit home. Okay, when I met Peter, my twin soul, it was like, oh my God, we thought each other's thoughts, we were just so close, and I'd never felt that way, it was just so perfect. And it wasn't that way at first, but it was a journey. And and then when he died, he left, his job was over. It was so devastating. And it's been 20 years that I have been mourning and missing him. But a lot of it was because he gave, we were one, but he was out there. He was the male, the
Mhm.
doctor, all that. And I was like the magnetic. But you know what? I just finally realized, and he was all the architects. I was his princess or whatever his name. Actually, the queen, it means Monroy, means my king, my queen, Peter
Yeah.
Monroy. And he was my knight, and I loved being
Mhm.
rescued, because I was programmed
Yeah.
all that my life with that. Save me, save me. The beautiful women are always so, wonderful, but they're always getting in trouble, And I just realized, oh my God, for 20 years I've been mourning that. But you know what?
Mhm.
I gave my heroic journey away. It's my
Yeah.
journey. It's our
Mhm.
journey. And we've been
Yeah.
programmed to give that the challenges, because it's
Yes.
like, oh, I have to
Mhm.
carry this, or oh, where,
Mhm.
it's like the
Yeah.
prize. Okay, you know what I'm talking
Mhm.
about. Everyone listening.
We
Yeah.
have been programmed, yeah, to give our devotion to men. We have been programmed to give our devotional feeding, nourishment, everything, our space, to the finite dreams of men. It is completely backwards. The place of vision is the womb. It is the place of the evolutionary vision is the womb. And the devotion is to come through the heart of man to woman, because the womb is the place that the child is always held in devotion. Evolution, humanity, life, innocence, children are held in devotional safety and honor in the womb. And all devotion, electrical devotion, I call it, energetic devotion, is to flow from the man's heart to the woman. That is actually the system of devotion. And I would just also like to say a side note, it's lovely to be a princess and anything else. I don't insult any of those lovely things. It's beautiful to have every facet of yourself as a woman and to enjoy it. And I don't deny anyone the pleasure of dressing up as a princess or anything else. But we are everything. That's what I say. Just be everything. Be the princess, but
Yeah.
be the mother, be the grandmother, be the daughter, be the princess, be it all. you know?
No, it's
Yeah.
like, I think of Gone with the Wind,
Mm,
Scarlett O'Hara, she's like the belle of the ball, but then when she
yeah.
comes back to Terra and there's no food, okay,
Mm.
sometimes princesses, have to roll up their sleeves and,
Yes.
"Oh, I'm gonna be hungry again."
Yes.
Do that. So,
Mhm.
you're right. You have to. We that's why we're electrical magnetic, because
Yeah.
we're adaptable. We know what to do.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
It's a total shift, right? That's just turned on its head. We have been told, and there's still relationship teachings which tell a woman to, like you say, hand her creational capacity to the man beside her, devote into his vision. But that doesn't sit right with me. That doesn't seem complete. I know
And
that if I have the channel of the Eternal Mother, that is the channel of vibrational beginnings. Therefore, I have the form of my womb, which is the place where the sound and the vision and the dream of the mother is emanated from. Then I have the function, the full function of that, and I have the authority over my own form and my own function. And
yes,
then
and
there's a responsibility. That's the next one. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
time is now. Like you said, the time is
Mhm.
now, because in the past we did that. We did it good. Kudos to
Yep.
you. And if you could get the Princess Prize, good. That's the
Yep.
top of that's as far as we could go in the finite. I love what
Yes.
you said. We gave all our creativity
Yep.
to the finite dreams of men, but the
Yes.
finite world is crumbling. And you know what?
Yes.
The guys know it. They still kind of
Mhm.
want to hang on to that power, with the
Mhm.
money and the prestige and and I live in Italy here, so you know,
Mm.
all the men take all the glory, and all the women do all the work. They work very, very hard. No princesses
Yeah.
here, they work,
No.
and they're the mamas behind these little boys. I call them the
Mhm.
little men, the womanini, and
Yeah.
but now we have to pull that creativity out, not to
Mhm.
punish them, even, and they will cry, but for
Mhm.
their good, because we have to put that creativity on the proper golden
Mhm.
age, on the
Yeah.
timeline, on the
Yeah.
infinite earth, the infinite
Mm.
dreams that we want to create on
Yeah.
outside of the broken finite system that is
Mhm.
crumbling. So they have a place to go, and then
Yes.
you said,
Absolutely.
like you said, they'll say, "Oh, well, I did this."
Yes, and we'll say sure, as long as it's done.
Don't
Or
you love
maybe
it?
we'll say something else. But yes, they will cry, and they are crying. And I get this. I get this stuff sent, put at me. But what I say is the back the background music for the freedom of humanity is the cry of the mini tyrant. That is inevitable. If we are bringing the place to a crumbling of every single false system, that also means the place inside in the consciousness. Not everyone is a, a kind of a person who goes and conquers countries and does horrendous things and builds empires, but a lot of men build mini empires on the backs of women, actually, and run their house like a mini empire. So all of that, the whole empire, whether and in men's in a competition in a competitive finite way of looking at things, the person who just runs their home like an empire is not as bad as the person who's taken over a country and stolen their minerals. But we know it's all on the same spectrum. So that full spectrum of hierarchy and power over is leaving humanity's consciousness, because it is built on lies. And all lies are built on the backs of the amnesia and the degradation of the mother principle, which is the land, the soil, the water, everything that sustains us, and women, the wombs that birth reality. So there will be tears, but love is there's a spectrum of love. There's a length and a breadth of love that's been asked. There's an eternal love that's been asked for. It is not love to, offer a man a false flattery or praise if you know better, if you actually believe you have a better thing to say, or an expansion on what they're saying. And it's such a beautiful thing when you offer the expansion and then a man comes back with his expansion. And before you know it, there's a spiral opening. And this man is getting to fully express his intelligence in answer to what you've asked. If we put a little ceiling on top of ourselves, we will never get to know what that beautiful creational dance looks like between the masculine and feminine. And there's no need for it because, yes, some do cry and have tantrums, but the vast, vast majority of men are seriously suffering within this system also.
Yes, and
Mm.
I've always said that it's the divine feminine who will give birth to the divine masculine.
Yeah.
It's just so and some part of that is suffering, just seeing what
Mm.
doesn't work, and then they're going to go to the solution, which is you, which is why we have to stay strong and firm
Yes.
in our faith.
Hmm.
So um, I get all into this, and then
We
so
just have
to,
to deeply nourish, right? This is a time where women are deeply nourishing, bringing the minerals back into the body and just creating that softness and receptivity. We are preparing the soil. It's all coming. So that's what I would say to women. When there's moments like this where we're not being received or trusted or whatever, take that time to deepen and replenish and become more. Don't reach outside of yourself. Just bring more of yourself back into yourself.
Yes, and I wanted
Mm.
to say something earlier. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Is about the womb, and
Mhm.
I did a Sacred Sicily pilgrimage here, and right down the road is Mosia, and this was a place where the Phoenicians came, and they sacrificed their firstborn to Baal, and we went there because of course it's all in the ley lines, but
Yeah.
when you talk about the womb, it's not just children, but it's also our own inner child, because
Yeah.
when that trauma happened, it severed that bond with our child, but our
Mm.
divine inner child that
Yeah.
feels and that knows, through its feelings, what's true, what's not true. So,
Mm.
and I think that's part of the healing, right? With the womb is to heal
Yeah,
our, yes,
absolutely. That inner child, that eternal child is the voice of the new beginning. It's the call, it's the cry of innocence. It's the beautiful thing about women, why we are so unprogrammable. And of course we have assumed some programs to survive, but the reason why women are so unprogrammable is because the womb is divinely programmed to respond to the cry of the child, and that is the cry of the eternal child, like you say, the inner child.
the divine
um
child.
Yes, that is our that's our boss. So if we have a boss, it's the child. So
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Mm.
So, okay. What? I want to talk about time. I mean, we
Sure.
had our whole the time change here, getting on the right time. But I mean, gosh,
Mm.
it's like I feel like, and I know it's not just, it used to be me all the time, but now other people that are just normal, they are having trouble. They can't fit in their 3D reality anymore because
Mhm.
time just seems to be like so elastic and so.
Yeah.
And of course, we've talked a lot about the fall, and we've had a
Mm.
lot of people here that have talked about the true hidden history of our planet, and colonic
Mhm.
science, or whatever you call it. But we have been divine angelic beings
Yeah.
that fell, and the true timelines are that. And that's
Mm.
where we're completely in harmony with the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And of course, you look at the ancient cultures, there were always a matriarch. It was
Yeah.
always ruled by the women
Mhm.
who not ruled, but who were the guardians of the Mother Earth, and who made sure everyone's needs were met, just like a mother,
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
embodiment of the Divine Mother. So I feel
Yeah.
like we need to realize that it's not like we have to push to do it right.
Mhm.
It's there. We just have to meet it. We have to just let go, shed, right? The fall.
Yeah.
You said the electrical false
Mm.
timelines are okay, are dissolving. So could you talk
Yeah.
a little bit more to
Sure.
that?
I would love to talk about that, and this may come across abstract because I will see how this lands. But so a couple of years ago, I asked the question, like, what was the clock before the clock? And it kind of led me on this mission to find what the clock was, and I knew it had something to do with the Eternal Mother. Um, I laid 12 crystals in a circle at this place in Ireland called the Seat of Queens. I had just been to visit Queen Maeve's cairn on the way, and my mother was living with me, and she was the queen of the house at the time. And there was something gathering about time and the correct clock. What was the correct clock? What I found, and this has come to fruition just in the last couple of weeks, I had a workshop. I felt this call. from this is maybe abstract, but from the Golden Mother Dragon. I have felt this call from the Golden Mother Dragon who is underwater. Maybe I am part of her, you know, and to me, the Golden Mother Dragon now, we called her into position, we called her back, and she is in position. And when I say dragon, this is just the sum total of the correct golden magnetic creational power of women, of mother. We called her, we sang her back into position as the magnetic center of the central sun. And this is also a correction happening to our mechanics of creation, our magnetic center within ourselves. So what I will say now, and in the doing of this, what I realized is that the impulse of time, the beat of time, is created by this pulse, this magnetic pulse of the Golden Mother Dragon. Her intention is love, and our time-space reality is under that command. What I've realized is that the time has collapsed. The timelines have collapsed. In the remembrance of this, and to collapse the timeline, the timelines is to embody this corrected magnetic center, so that the distance between impulse and actualization disappears. That's what time is. It's the distance between the impulse of the creational impulse and then the actualization, where us seeing this thing in the field or us creating the thing in form. The distance collapses, the timelines collapse as we bring this correct embodiment back into ourselves. And this is being done across the board. This has been a correction in the central sun that was witnessed by many. Many were part of this. Many had felt the call to create this, and I was doing something, but I'm pretty sure other women were doing something at the same time too. So if that makes sense, and that may make sense to somebody that may be able to ground that into something more concrete, but the collapse of the timelines is the embodiment of the correct magnetic center, the correct pulse point of creation. That's what I can say, the collapse. And the purveyor, the guardian of the correct magnetic center of the clock is the Golden Mother Dragon, which is just the sum magnetic creational force of women, of mother.
Beautiful. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of add to that from
Sure.
to make sense of it. Well, as a student of colonic science, and you just kind of recognizing the work that Ashiana Dean did as a speaker. Basically, for me, she has spoken forth much of the texts, the ancient texts that were taken from the Christic tribes, and are. Most of them are under the Vatican. So this was stuff that was supposed to be in the Bible. So with that understanding, okay, so what it is, yes, we've been caught in an artificial time loop, and the dragons were one of the first cause. They're like the ascended, the highest emanation at the Rishi level of true ascended masters in our time matrix, and I mean, basically there's no time, but we choose to buy the ticket to the time matrix that we enter to accept the show or the illusion of time, and I say we're all stories in the mind of God. So we choose to participate in this kind of group story, but it got in our time matrix got corrupted and infiltrated by parallel time matrices that fell. And so they've caused our time matrix to become distorted, and we call them fallen angelics or parasites, whatever, because they disconnected from the infinite and they had to parasite their source energy from us. So that's what we've been caught in this loop. That's why the magnetic female has been so co-opted, because of the power and its ability not to be like you said, mind controlled, because of our intuitive feeling womb. So that makes sense to me. And then of course, and then we are resetting to the cosmic clock, okay, the true clock, because we've been caught in a Fibonacci, not chi, death spiral of artificial AI produced timelines. And now we're getting back, and we talked about this because there was a split between the timelines in November 8th. We had Ian Parks on here. So we're on the Kristalla spiral, and these are like crystal dragons. They're from the crystal, the true identity of us is Kristalla beings, the Christ. That's what the 12-stranded Christ body is. So we're getting back on that Kristalla timeline. So that's the true timeline where this didn't happen. So that's what we're seeing, the glitches and the dissolving of it. And I think what I want to emphasize, and I know you believe this, is that a lot of people are like, oh, wow, I want to ascend. I saw, I've been watching some stuff and like, we're all going to ascend, but what do we have to do next? And they're seeing it from a 3D perspective and like a solar flare is going to come or, Jesus is going to, whatever, but it's inward. It's an internal thing. So the more you heal, the more you collapse those fragmented aspects of yourself that are still on that downward spiral of ascension, the more frequency you can hold and the more you will get onto the golden organic timelines. Does that make sense of that?
Absolutely. And this words come to me like the kingdom of heaven is in the heart, and there is already avenues and for our reception. There is architecture already for our upholding. So there really is nothing to voyage to anymore. It is internal. We are the mechanics of creation, and once we self-correct, we can push the moment to come, the birthing moment to come, that causes a further, like a correctional invitation for the consciousness. Such is our power.
I use like teachings, to help me orient things, but I actually work inward out. I get something and then I look outside of myself, like, what is this about? And then I might see someone else who's talking about it. And, it's interesting because I had these understanding, and a lot of my audience follows these colonic teachings. So we'll talk. But, what we're showing, what we're illustrating here is that first it comes intuitively. And it doesn't matter who you follow. It's not an external speaker, teacher. We're all getting it. We might see it from different perspectives, but we're all getting it, from inside.
Absolutely. Yeah. So. And I've kind of been kept away from following teachings or reading or anything.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's just been the way it has been, and it's fine. So my language is very much like descriptive, like a painting, like a dream, because I'm just describing what I see or what I feel. But I always have or now in the last few years, I have full faith in my self-expression, and I would offer that to everyone, to have full faith. Don't doubt yourself. Someone asked me recently, she had seen a premonition, but she didn't feel or know how to express it in advance. And we're coming to this place now, to all of us, where we will have the words for ourselves. Our words were also taken away. Our means of expression were taken away. They're coming back, and we will be able to express ourselves exactly as we are. We don't need to run ourselves through like a checklist. Do we sound perfect? Do we sound polished? We need to give each other the option to expand. So I can say something not quite formed, and then you can offer an expansion. Like, this is what we need to do. There's no point coming to the table perfectly pristine and having an opinion. Opinions are over. Swapping opinions, fighting about opinions. Come as you are and just spit it out, and allow everyone the gift of their own voice. And before you know it, there's a beautiful spiral, and everyone's expanding. No one's answering each other. They're expanding, and then we feel it. We feel it when there's resonance. We feel it when we've hit the jackpot, and everyone feels it. And something has been born in those moments.
Yes. And I always want to say, Amen. But as we raise our frequencies, we come together in this true unity of heart, of energetic bonding. Because I always say we're water. We're all water, but we're snowflakes,
Yeah.
and all different. So then we really can truly appreciate the uniqueness of each other, of our voices, of our tones, of the way we express ourselves, because we have that true unity. But we've been in the world of duality. So no, he's black, she's white, he's rich, she's poor. It's like
Yeah.
pitted against each other. So we
Yeah.
got to take a real short break. We'll be back
Okay.
in just a minute.
Perfect.
And we're back. And we're back with Mary Costello. I always say Costello. Costello. And we're talking about the restoration of the organic timelines, which we just got into, and the coming of the golden age, and how that is all happening as we restore the Divine Mother within us first, because we are the emissaries. We are the embodiment of the Divine Mother. That's how she's going to be expressed. I always say we're like, God. People say, "What's God?" Well, I'm a finger, of God. I'm writing the God. I'm holding the pen. I'm writing my own story. And we have to write in, we have to express it through love. So, so it's been a fascinating conversation. I'm so glad.
So much fun.
You. Yeah. So, I guess let's talk about the future. I mean, this is so
yeah.
exciting. Okay, so we've got the women leading because they're magnetic. We're and we're using we're owning our own creative power. From the womb, from our intuitive, knowingness. From I just say downloading from the divine creator, and we're creating together a co-creation with this unity of oneness, but yet allowing the uniqueness, all our individual unique expressions of ourselves to come together in this beautiful, cacophony of like a music, like a film, where we all, contribute different aspects to make this beautiful whole. And the whole is our new reality, our new earth, a place we want to live in. So what do can you contribute to that?
Yes, absolutely. This is where I'm going to next, is the vision of the golden age. This is what I want to attune to. And it's all about attunement, right? Because it's about vibrational beginning. And we all have the memories of pains and aches and all of the things when we come to a place where we do not want to continue to generate finite bad dreams. And we are generators. We're not just conduits, we're actually generators of the dream. So where I am now is this deeply embodied attunement, attuning to the vibrational beginning within me, which is, in the first instance, is this cosmic rose of my womb. It is also my body's voice, which everyone has a voice in the body. And the reason the voice in the body is so important is our body is formed by mother. Our body is the mother. This is how we should never believe anything we can't feel. This is my feeling anyway. I don't believe anything I can't feel. And I know that this is how we are to believe in the mother, is that we are feeling her, we are remembering her presence as the place of beginning within the body. So this is where the beginning, the coordinates of the golden age come from, in the body. And what I have seen and what I'm offering now is the devotional channel of the heart, the devotional presence of the crystal heart, which is the channel of energy, of electrical impulse, is to be in service to these vibrational beginnings. And this is how things are created. The heart is to be in service to the vibrational beginnings within the body, especially within the womb. That is how we serve the mother. This is actually how we serve the mother. The greatest honor to the eternal mother, the way to see her rise, is to be of her. It's to be fruitful and in flower It's to grow as she intended. It's never outside of ourselves. All of our strength is within. All of our integrity and strength comes from vibrational integrity, from this condensing of who we are into this sound pillar. So that's how I'm proceeding. It's attuning to my body's vibrations, because the vibrations in the body are eternal beginning points, and how we know that they're being received and they're being activated is radiance. Radiance is how we know. Or when we connect with someone and we feel more energized, or when we speak about something and we feel more energized, that's how we know we're working with a vibrational beginning of eternal life. We are the beginning of the world without end. We are the beginning of the world without end. Our body is sparkling with the vibrational beginnings of the world without end. And the way we recognize them, are they radiant? Do they dance? Do they call for someone to dance with them? Do they get excited? Do they bubble and fizz? We know we have to discern what a dead end feels like. We have to discern what a dead emotion feels like. And we have to just starve it. Maybe feel it and cry if we need to, but then starve it and really get that in our minds, write it down. You know, this habit I have of feeding this dead end beginning, let me cut this out of my body. So we are starving the finite beginnings within our body, as we would say, the finite timelines, the false timelines that catch us in a story, that catch us in a loop. And we are doing that so we can give all of our heart's devotion, all of our energetic devotion to the vibrational beginnings of eternal life.
Wow.
That's a
gonna
lot.
be a big sacred kind of, communion and downloading, and oh wow, it's very powerful. And yeah, I just want to say, because and then to back up what we talked about in the last thing was, everyone's realizing how bad things are, and it's like one conspiracy theory and this conspiracy, and we don't want a spiritual bypass, and you need to know the truth of how fallen and a dead end. This We've been living in a death culture. We're coming up to Halloween. We're coming up to, the Day of the Dead. We celebrate the dead. All right. And that's fine. And we need to move through that heal. And I do believe you have to feel to heal. So you have to feel it. You have to heal it. You have to, I don't want to take that away from anyone, but come on, it's been 5 years or something with this whole thing, I mean, there's a point where if you're still hashing over the latest gossip, you like your problem and you're feeding your problem. So attention, let's see, energy goes where attention flows, or whatever, or thought directs energy. So what are you focusing on? Okay.
Yes.
So you're right. Now we need, and I'll just, on a personal level, I am a nervous person. I'm a very energetic person, but my mother was always nervous. She was nervous with me in the womb. She told me, she was always, and then when I got in my father's hands, it was like, oh, I could relax, So, and I noticed when I start thinking, I've got to travel, blah, blah, blah. I'm leaving my home. And I start thinking of all the things that go wrong. And so, I'm starting now to wake up from this programming that I am doing to myself, because it's a program, it's a condition, and start saying, what do I want to happen? And I think you need to start saying what could happen. Oh no, what the bad things that happen. What do I want to happen? And with the creativity, we have to say, what do I want to have happen in my life? Because as women, first of all, usually marry, okay, whoever you marry, you marry money, you're wealthy, it's dependent on someone outside of you, your father, your husband. So, and we've never been asked, what do I want? What do I want to create for myself?
That's beautiful.
That's the way we're going to start right now. And I've been doing that. Like, what I want to create, I have this block, like, oh gosh, like, God's looking, he's going to strike me down. Hey, Father, what do I want? What do I want to create?
That's beautiful.
And not like, help me, please save me, like finding a way to manipulate someone to give you something. What do I want, when I wake up in the morning, what do I want to create? What kind of world do I want to live in? What,
Mm.
and I think people are finding it's nothing like what we've been programmed to want.
It's exactly like programmed to want. When you
Yeah.
think of all the things we've been told we don't want them at all. We need and need is the language of evolution, actually. Need is actually what matters. Need is what brings you back to your body. Like, what do I really need in this moment? Do I need really, really nourishing food? Do I need to rest? And can we meet our needs without judging ourselves? And
Yes.
without saying, well, actually, but I'm supposed to want to go to the gym, but I'm supposed to want to do this. No,
Yeah.
I don't want to do any of those things. I want to do what I want to do. Or, and to honor the body's needs is such a powerful way to get back to the mother, because the mother deals in need. The mother responds to what the child needs. Nature gives what the plant needs to it. It doesn't, there's no frills, there's no extras, it's about need. And that's something we've been shamed. We've been shamed out of expressing our needs. That's quite a
And
big
and,
one.
and especially women, again, because we're talking about
Mhm.
women. Women are, what does my child need? What does my husband need? What
Yeah.
does my mother need? We're always,
Mm.
most women I know are like the anchors for the whole family. I know one
Yeah.
gal in England, I mean, she's living, her parents are in the house with her parents, and she's got a child who's got mental problems. And, she's always
Mhm.
like, I mean, there's no boundaries. You can't
Mhm.
lock the door. You can't find your own sacred space, much
Yeah.
less your sacred space of your womb. It's like,
Mhm.
you're always moving to everyone else. And I
Yeah.
think that has to stop, because it's
Absolutely.
oxygen mask on yourself
Mhm.
first. You have to
Yeah.
maybe shift. As you shift,
Mhm.
everyone else will take care of their own needs.
Absolutely. And that is actually that's creating needy people. And it's really interesting, like we're being pushed to walk the walk now. So if we believe in an infinite compassionate abundant source, then we must believe that everyone can get their needs met without us being destroyed, right? Without us being the sacrifice. If we
Yes.
believe in this compassionate abundant source, then no one should be sacrificed, including especially the mother or the woman in the center of things. And when you spoke of, like, you wake up and you say, what do I want? This is what makes me believe you can prove to yourself the existence of this golden age. Like, there's no distance between impulse and actualization. You can say, this is what I want. And that very day, the thing will come to you, right? This is how we prove. We have to reinforce our beliefs now. We have to prove, because we've had enough proof in the outside world that things are terrible. Now we have to take our new core beliefs and prove them. So speak them, command them, and allow the evidence to return to us, so we can actually believe in what we know it. We already know it. We know we can command from our body, and we will receive quite fast. We just need to get into the habit. We need to build the support. We need to support ourselves. We need to back ourselves and be our own support, our own backbone, our own fan club, you know?
Yes. And and this is so powerful, because we've talked about
Mm,
expanding things, but this is bringing it down to moment, which
yeah.
is where you open the portal for the infinite to come in.
Yes.
And I want to say, as a daughter of a marriage and family therapist, and as a mental health counselor myself, when you're in a family where you're taking care of everyone, the truth
Mm,
is, and this is the truth, women, okay? This is the gut wrenching truth, that they are
mhm.
actually taking care of you because there's something inside of you that is afraid to really come into your power. So
Yeah.
they feel, how many times have we done that to other people to make them feel good? You get sick, you make them feel needed. If you're a
Yeah.
person that needs to be needed, you're going to surround yourself by people that you're actually hurting them, because they feel like they have to be less than to make you
Mhm.
feel like you're something. So the
Yeah.
best you can do to help your family, your children, your spouse, your parents, be there in the right moment, of course. But I'm not saying you don't want to feel good about helping people, that's not where you want to get your positive
Yeah.
self-image. All
Mhm.
right. And you know, I don't do that anymore, but you know, I could say I have no one. Okay. It's just me and
Mm.
Kiki. All right. No children, no husband anymore. And he's with me all the time, but you know, no parents, no nothing. And I guess a lot of women would say, oh, she's selfish, you know, but so it's focused on me. Okay. Because I know by me being the most I can be, that's how, because I love to share with people. You know, I love
Yeah.
to help people. I do everything of service. But first, it's me. And, you know,
Mhm.
I wake up whenever I want to. I go to either the beach or the hot springs. I tune into my body. Now I'm fasting. You know, we had the mucusless diet. So I'm just doing
Mm.
fruits and vegetables and, you know, vegan. And I'm realizing so much of what I really want is not what my brain thinks I want, and that's why
Yeah.
we are so powerful, because we go
Mm.
through our feelings and our intuition.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and by doing this, we are collapsing this holographic world of that was born from false want. This
mhm.
endlessly greedy, disgusting place where there are systems of slavery, you know, producers who have to produce as slaves to fulfill the endless needs of false want.
And keep
We are starving that. We are
our
starving it.
codependency kind of but, you
Mm,
know, psychological behavior pattern going. We have to break it. We're the ones that are gonna
yeah,
break it.
yeah, we're doing that. A nice pot of homemade soup, light the fire. That's the things I do here. Simple
See?
things
Yeah.
that remind me of my mother, you know, beautiful things that are so simple. Yeah.
Nurturing your own divine inner child. So,
Yeah.
Mary, we're almost out of time. Can you tell everyone
Okay.
how they can get in touch with you again so that
Yes, please. I Mary Costello on Facebook. I post quite a lot there. My YouTube channel is called The Womb Room, Voices of Eternal Beginning, where I offer space to people to come in and unfold, unpack their wisdom, and it's a beautiful space. Offering a new way of receiving people to allow people to unfold and trusting that the gem, the pearl is already inside. And then I have my website is heartofgold.earth.
Okay, great. And send me
Okay.
those links. I'm going to include them.
Sure.
I have a blog post out now, but I'll put that in it. I'll add that to it. And my all that's on my website, www.infinitehuman.com. And if you're in the Louisville, Cincinnati area, I will be at the Body, Mind, and Spirit November 23rd, which is the day I was born, and the 24th. No place I would rather be. So I'll be there if you want to meet me and Kiki in person. And thank you so much. I just love you. I tell you, it was
It's
just
so
such
much
a
fun.
cosmic union, and I'm sure there's more to come. I always
Mm,
can't wait to do this. And everyone I invite on, you know, I feel like they're part of my family now, and it's not just to
okay.
bring you on and use you. It's I feel like we're building something together too. So there's
Yes.
the other stuff that will happen. I'm not sure what. It's all like I said, I just work here. So
It's all
okay.
cooking.
Okay, so bye everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Ciao for now. Ciao.